Welcome back. Today we are going to prepare some of my favorite bivalves. And I'm going to get started right away and then I'll explain to you what's going on. We're going to actually cook these and we're going to put these in the oven, and I'll talk about this in just a second. I want to get these started. All right, put those right in. Here we go. They are in. So to start with, we're in at 500 degrees and we can bake them or broil them. I will be baking them. And they'll cook for about 10 minutes. It's very fast. And so just preheat your oven, make sure that's the temperature. You could also do this on your grill, and it would happen much faster because most grills can get up to 700 or 800 degrees, which would cut that time almost in half. So when you are going to be baking them like that, you want to make sure that they stay level because there's juice inside, and you want to make sure the juice stays in the shells. And I'll talk a little bit more about that regarding the shells. But we had a couple different pans that we could use for this, and you may have something like this. This is Joan's, my wife Joan's, whoopie pie making pan. And you can see it has these shallow depressions. And you can put, in this case, you could put your oyster or your cherry stone clam or your little neck clams. That's a little cherry stone, and there's your little neck clams right in that depression. And if there's any juices that come out, they will come out in the depression. And also you'll notice that these the shape will hold these so that they're pretty much level. So that's just kind of pans, and they actually make oyster cooking pans. Usually they're cast iron and they have kind of an oyster shaped depression in them, and you can use those. You can also just use a regular baking pan and put a layer of kosher salt on the bottom, and then just embed your clams or oysters or mussels or whatever else you want right into the kosher salt. The kosher salt won't be any worse for wear due to the heat. So we've done that. We would have scrubbed them a little bit just to make sure that there's not any extra sand. Sometimes with the oysters, there'll be some seaweed and things like that on them. So you could do that. And what will happen is, after about 5 or 6 minutes, they'll start to open up, which means they were alive, they are now no longer alive. And then you could take them out right then, or you could let them cook a little bit longer, say like 10 minutes, and they'll be completely cooked. All of these can be eaten raw, so you can kind of make your decision as to whether you want to have them raw, rare, or well done at 10 minutes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can open at least the oysters. We have enough time to open an oyster. The others are very similar. It's good to have an oyster knife. So right here. And this has a very sharp tip and blades along the side. Sometimes you can get them and there's a dull tip, and they don't work as well. So just to be safe, I'm going to put on a glove, and this oyster, or these oysters, some of them are from our good friend Emily at emeliesoysters.com, and she's a local oyster farmer. She lives here in Bath, but her oysters come from Freeport. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this very sharp tip of this knife to wedge into the hinge at the bottom here. So right now this oyster is closed pretty tight, and so I'm just going to grab this. I'm going to wedge this in. I'm going to give it a twist, and that just kind of opens that hinge up. And then I'm going to take the sharp part of the knife, we got that glove on, and I'm going to go right above the meat here. So there's a little muscle that attaches it there. And then what you'll do is you'll just kind of scrape the bottom muscle off. That's how they open and close. You can see the juice in there. And then you just put that right in there. And we can do that with these other ones, but we're not going to do that today. I just wanted to show you that it's not that difficult to open it up if you have a good tool. And you'll notice I used a little towel here just to kind of keep it level. The other two types of bivalves that are cooking are, these are called little necks, and these are cherry stones. They're the same clam. They're just different ages, and I'm not sure what the ages are, but you can see there's a little neck, cherry stone, and then the bigger ones are called quahogs. And the quahogs are what you use usually for clam chowder. You're going to open them up, and then you've got to cut them up because they're pretty tough. But you'll see what happens. These, when they cook, they'll just open right up. We also have two kinds of oysters today. Our local oysters and Wellfleet oysters from Wellfleet, Massachusetts. And I don't want this one to go to waste. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to whip up a very quick, oh wait, not this one, this one here. There we go. I'm going to whip up a very quick dipping sauce. I'm going to melt a little bit of butter. And I'm going to put in some lemon juice. There we go. And a little bit of cocktail sauce. So here's my butter melting away. I'm going to put equal parts of butter and sauce there. And let's just give this a quick mix. There we go. If you're really impatient, you can melt that very quickly in the microwave, but you're going to want to make sure it's covered up because the butter will very quickly sizzle. So here we go. We have a nice quick dipping sauce. And this can be done with either warm or raw oysters. So let's try this guy. So I'm gonna get a little bit of this sauce here. You gotta slurp it. Yum. All right. So I think it's time to check out our oysters. So let's look in, and if they're opened up, they're going to be all set. And you can already see there's our clams, our oysters. They've opened up, so that's great. So let's carefully take these guys out. Let's bring them over here. Now these are going to be a little bit warm. Oh, sorry about that. turn the fan up here. There we go. All right. All right. So let's take a look. So here's our oyster. And so you can see it's cracked open. So that means the oyster has given it up. And what we can do is we can pull down the bottom and pull up our oyster and get that juice completely cooked. Yum. And if you want, you can get some of that juice. Let's take a look at our, so that these are the wealthy oysters, just so you know. In fact, you know what, I'm going to taste Emily's oysters and kind of compare them with the wealthy. So these are pretty briny, so I'm going to, there we go, this guy, put that in the juice. So Emily's oysters are sweeter, you can tell. They're a little bit bigger too. And let's grab a clam. Little neck clam. Those shells are hot. There's no doubt that these guys are cooked. Yum. So there you have it. If you don't want to work hard at opening your oysters, you can just cook them right in the oven and make a little bit of sauce, and they're really tasty. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.